It's funny, there are things that we do every single day that we don't even think about. We're on autopilot. And then when we're forced to analyze what we're doing, we're realizing we might not be doing it exactly correctly. We might even be doing it wrong. So I want to share a quick story. Then I'm going to talk about documentation and how we can improve the efficiency quality of our documentation. I'm a 49-year-old dad. I've got a 15-year-old son. He's my oldest. He's the first in the family to start driving. He got his learner's permit, and I am the designated driving instructor. So as I take him out on the road, like anything, we start in the neighborhood, we start in the driveway, we go up and down, we figure out reverse and drive. I realize a couple of things. There are bad habits that I have that I've been driving for however many years. I don't even think about it. But as I analyze my own driving behavior, I realize that there are things that I don't want to pass down to a new driver that I do incorrectly. I realize how hard it is for him to think about all the individual elements of driving. He's thinking about brake and gas. He asked me if he uses 2 feet or one. I wouldn't even think about somebody driving with 2 separate feet. He's thinking about the blinkers. He thought that the right side lever was for the right blinker and the left was for the left blinker. So he flips to turn right and the windshield wipers start going. Then he doesn't know how to turn it off because he thought he turned on the blinker. So he's thinking about the mirrors. He's thinking about the cars in front of him, behind him, the cars to the left and right. It is just impossible to cognitively process every single one of these elements. And as you can see where this story is going, this applies to clinical documentation. If you can remember back when you were a student, and if you're a student now, you're dealing with it, you're thinking of all of these things. Is this a treatment note? Is it a progress report? Is it an evaluation, plan of care? What am I doing? Who am I documenting for? What do I need to support medical necessity? Is this a reasonable treatment? Okay, I'm not going to go on. So this is where we look at the existing model for documentation. And I think there's a lot of elements that are great. There's a lot of elements that need to be changed. I am documenting still from a model 20 years old. Now I've got new technology. Now I've got new resources. I can cite and reference information to support documentation that I never could have used before. So this is where we need to get AI, and I'm going to change AI. Everybody's used to saying AI is artificial intelligence. I was reading a great article this morning from AMA. I'm going to use the term augmented intelligence because it's not artificial. It's augmenting, it's supporting, it's bringing me value to my own intelligence, and it's giving me access, again, to resources that I never would have had. So my goal, right now it's April 17th. My goal is by the first week of May, I'm going to put together not just the typical Medicare documentation course that I always teach, teaching you what exactly Medicare is published as their required elements, their optional elements, what's recommended, what's required. I want to bring that course into the year 2024, and I want to include augmented intelligence documentation assist. So I'm going to be using HippoScribe as my platform, but this is a platform agnostic course. I don't care what course you want to use. You can use any of the ones on the market. They're all basically the same. Some have more functionality, some have less. The thing that I love about HippoScribe is they're the new kids on the block. The developer, Jansen, is super open and receptive to any kind of feedback clinicians can provide. So I will share more information about how this course is going to work, but the goal for this course is twofold. One, it's going to take us back 20 years. It's going to go back to the bread and butter. It's going to go back to the original framework that Medicare still uses today to determine if a note, whether it be a treatment note, progress report, evaluation, plan of care, if it's compliant with the requirements stated in the policy manual. We have to start there. We just have to start with a simple, yes, this is compliant, or no, this is not compliant. Yes, this satisfies the requirement, or no, this doesn't satisfy the requirement. And then once we have a basic understanding of actual published guidelines, which are very simple, then we could take it to the next level. Then we can augment that intelligence. We can bring technology in and we can take it to a level that I don't believe anybody else is using or referencing. There are so many published professionally accepted guidelines out there, and nobody references them in their documentation. It's one thing for lowly old Tony Maritato, the licensed physical therapist, to say this is what the patient needs. But imagine if you can pull references from Harvard Medical, from Kisner and Colby Therapeutic Exercise, from the APTA's Guide to Physical Therapy Practice. These references are out there. They can be incorporated into our current documentation. So when a reviewer is looking at this saying, why did you do this? Well, it's not just my clinical opinion, which does hold a little bit of water. It's also the opinion of the APTA and Kisner and Colby and multiple clinical citations. So if you want to learn more about it, let me know in the comments. I'll get you exact dates. I'll get you an exact price. Anybody who purchases access to the course gets a free trial run of HippoScribe. If you're not already using an augmented intelligence documentation system, this will be a great chance to practice. And if you are, no big deal. Just use the system you're already using, because this is universally applicable to any system you want to use.